We're going to talk about Oscar Ogden Poppleton, the honey king of Florida. I'm going to tell you the story of a Florida folk legend, not a folk hero. He didn't do anything heroic, anything other than his job. But if everybody from Miami to Port St. Lucie knows your name, even if they've never met you, then what can you be other than legendary? Such is the case with O.O. Poppleton, the honey king of Florida, the first professional migratory beekeeper in the United States. Oscar Ogden Poppleton was born in Ohio in 1843, moved to Iowa at age 13, finished his primary education, started some secondary education, before joining the Union Army as a private in 1861. Well, he returned home to the family farm in Iowa. He married in 1868, and that's when our story begins. As was common in the Midwest farm communities at that time, his in-laws gifted the new couple with a beehive. The way we would give a toaster oven, they would give a beehive. Now that beehive was called a box hive. And right now, all of you think you know what I'm talking about because you've all seen boxes of bees on the side of the road. But no, that's not what I'm talking about. Those boxes you see on the side of the road right now are called Langstroth hives. They are movable frame hives. The box hive was the highest evolution of the fixed frame hive. You don't get anything out of a hive like this in the first year. In the second year, the brood comb has passed that second set of sticks and has gotten attached to that second set of sticks. At that point, you can remove that front cover. You can blow a little bit of smoke in there from a cigar if you want, that's fine, and reach in with a knife and cut out some chunks of comb. Soon he came across an article, well, not an article, he came across a pamphlet about beekeeping. And it sparked his interest to start learning more. Anyway, this little booklet, which you can read on the Internet Archive if you want to, was an excellent primer on modern movable frame bee culture, and it sparked his interest to learn more. Maybe because of the difference between a box hive and a movable frame hive, which was 40 pounds of honey for the box hive and 100 pounds or more of honey for a movable frame hive. Big difference, big incentive. So he decided to figure out which one was better. He installed 25 horizontal hives and 25 Langstroth hives, and he worked them both for a year. And he decided that he liked the horizontal hive better. He sold off the Langstroth hives and started building a beekeeping operation using the horizontal hives. Now, these hives use the American frame, pardon me, which is an asymmetrical frame. You've never seen the like. This is what fascinated me when I started seeing this story, because I've never seen anything except what we call a Hoffman frame, a frame that was symmetrical with shoulders that determined the spacing. Now, movable frame beekeeping did not start out with a Hoffman frame. They started out with frames that, just like this one, covered the entire top. And what you did was you physically moved the frames apart to let the bees come up and down through them. This frame, it just fascinated me, and it completely fell out of use. It was in the catalogs from the 1860s through 1915 at least. But fewer and fewer people were using it. This is the American frame. And this is what he was using. So I've got fascinated with this, and to be clear, I built one of these hives, and I built all these frames, and I've been keeping bees in one of these hives for 2 years now. And I'm absolutely delighted with it. So, at any rate, this type of hive became very popular for about 15 years. But then the fickle American public's interest in honey changed. Instead of just this kind of beehive is excellent for making extracted honey, that is liquid honey, runny honey. And it's excellent for making comb honey, cut comb honey, where you just cut it into 4-inch or 6-inch squares and you put it in little boxes and you sell it that way. The American public suddenly got this taste for honey that was made in little basswood boxes. You literally would put 6 of those in a Langstroth frame, put it in the hive, and they would build their honeycomb directly in the box. You knew that nobody had messed with your honey or tampered with it because you're getting the product right there in your hand. There was no chance that anybody was messing you up. Honey, behind milk, honey is probably the single most adulterated product in the world. Only milk ranks higher. But like I said before, the time in the military had seriously affected his health, particularly his eyesight. And in 1886, at the age of 43, he was told that for his health, he needed to move south. Well, he moved all the way to Miami. Far south as I guess you could move at the time. He checked things out down there, liked what he saw, came back home, took half of his hives, about 150 of them, and came back to Miami with them. About that time, his daughter married a guy from what would later become known as Stewart, and he relocated his base of operations there, which was a good move in any case because Flagler's Railroad built a spur all the way down to the dock up in Port St. Lucie, which was just a few miles north of there, and it gave him an easy opportunity to unload his product directly onto the trains. But how does any of this make him famous? Well, because the Intercoastal Waterway was the main avenue of travel and trade in this period of time. And anyone traveling along the Intercoastal would very quickly start seeing these rows of white boxes over on the side of the shore and go, what the heck is that? And whoever was putting them along in that boat would go, oh, those are Poppleton's caskets. And so they became known as Poppleton's caskets. If you look over there, you come by my table and take a look at them. It does look like a casket. I started my beekeeping career as a top bar hive beekeeper. And they were great until July and August in South Florida, at which point the comb started collapsing off the bars. So I built top bar hives that were meant to accept deep Langstroth frames. They worked pretty well too, but they had drawbacks, and I decided to rebuild them for medium Langstroth frames. They worked much, much better, and I used them for several years.
Please give a big round of applause for Rich. Thank you. This was fun.
Yeah.
All right, he'll be on tomorrow and Sunday as well.